ladies and gents, and welcome back to DCS World with Mags and the F-14 Tomcat reveal. Alright, so first things first, I would like to say a massive thank you to Heatblur for allowing me to use the footage from last night's stream. For those that haven't seen it, a link to the original stream is in the video description down below, and I do encourage you to check it out. So, bloody hell, the hype on this thing is real, isn't it? The last night's Heatblur stream finally unveiled the Tomcat module in its full glory, and I have to say the team over at Heatblur just set the standard to which all future DCS module unveilings and releases will be judged. So let's do a little recap on what we have learned from the stream and from some of the announcements that have been released since. So, first the release date, because I know it's going to pop up everywhere first. Pre-orders for the Tomcat are now available on both the Heatblur and DCS World store pages, however, there is no exact release date at this time, just a listing for in winter. It is, however, worth noting that the first day of winter, which is December 21st in the Northern Hemisphere, is also the anniversary of the first flight of the Tomcat, which took place on December 21st, 1970. Now, of course, this does not mean a December 21st release date, but just saying, it would be bloody nice if these two dates just happen to line up. Now, what will be available at the start of early access and release? Well, it seems at this point that the F-14's all of its primary systems and functionality should be available on day one of early access, so you should be able to fly and fight unhindered from the word go. Now, this doesn't seem to mean that the aircraft is completely done, of course. There would be very little reason for an early access if this was the case. There does seem to be some secondary systems. The TARPS pod in particular, which is a airborne reconnaissance pod, won't be available at the start of early access, but will be available at some point during early access before the aircraft is released. So, some secondary systems or equipment may still be being worked on. All primary systems should be fully functional and ready to rock and roll. So what about release after early access? Well, first up, we'll be getting the A and B Model Tomcats. The B Model Tomcat will be made available for us first. The A model should become available at some point towards the end of early access and will be functional on release. So, 2 airframes. More than that, we will be getting 2 AI. Now, this one was interesting to read about, as at the moment we've only really seen Heatblur talk about Jester, your AI Rio, which is, quite frankly, amazing to see work. However, there is a secondary AI called Iceman. When you change positions from the pilot's position to the Rio's position in single player, the Iceman AI kicks in and flies the Tomcat for you while you're tinkering with the systems in the back seat. Now, Iceman is currently listed as having a limited functionality. Exactly how limited it is unknown. However, it seems you will be able to issue orders to Iceman from the Rio's position using the same menu that you use to control Jester while piloting. Also, as a side note, Grey Wolf, a member of the Heatblur Simulations team who voices the Jester AI, has said that apparently the AI will shit-talk you when you fuck up, which I think is wonderful. There will also be 2 campaigns available for the F-14 module on release. One will be for the F-14A and one will be for the F-14B. Now, one of the 2 of these, it's not listed exactly which one, is actually based on the Caucasus map, while the other one will be based on the Persian Gulf map. The second one will likely require the purchase of the Persian Gulf map in order to be able to access. I don't think it's included. That being said, it has been confirmed that these campaigns will be available to play in co-op. However, you will have to set up a server with a mission rotation for them. They will not play like a traditional DCS campaign. Each mission in the campaign will have to be assembled in a sequence, and as you play through the missions and complete the objectives, rotate the server missions to bring the next mission into line in order to progress through the campaign in co-op. So those are the key features, but one of the interesting side features mentioned on the stream is that the cockpit in the F-14 is essentially dynamic. When changing airframes, new frames should be slightly different inside. This change includes the wear and tear on the cockpit itself, the dirtiness of the cockpit, the exact panel locations, and some of those panels may move around a little bit as well as the seat cushions, both in colour and finish. Now, this is obviously going to have no performance difference to the aircraft itself, but what it does do is adds very much to the immersion. giving the player a way to attach themselves to the individual airframe that they've been flying and fighting in that is not related just to the skin on the outside of the aircraft. Now, from cool features that we will be seeing to those that are a little bit less certain. The F-14 was to release with a fully functional Forrestal class aircraft carrier that was intended to have an animated 3D deck crew functioning around the aircraft. According to Jaro Vague, a member of the Heatblur Simulations team who responded about the carrier in a question currently running on the Q&A with the Heatblur devs on the Hoggit Reddit, the carrier should be available on early access, as it is mostly functional at this time. However, the deck crew will probably not be available and may still be held back on release. The reason it seems is that Eagle Dynamics is currently working on a detailed animated deck for their own premium version of the Stennis, and they don't want to accidentally duplicate ED's work. So the carrier is going to be in, but we are going to be waiting a little bit longer yet for the animated deck crew. And we're not entirely sure exactly from where that animated deck crew is going to come yet. Now, in regards to bomb loadouts, Mark 81s, 82s, 83s, 84s, Zuni rockets, Mk.II cluster bombs, GBU 10s, 12s, 16s, and 24s, parachute flares, and BDU 33s should all be available as of the start of early access. However, no JDAMs. The F-14B that we are receiving in simulation did receive a modification around the early 2000s that would allow it to deploy JDAMs in combat, but the version of the F-14B that we are getting is actually based on a late 80s to mid 90s version of the F-14B, so it's pre this update. Now, the possibility of this feature being added at some point in the future hasn't exactly been ruled out at this point in time, but GPS guided bomb deployment will not be available in the F-14, either during early access or post-release. And the last thing to probably cover in this little segment here is actually for Steam users. At this point, there is no ETA on when a Steam early access will be available, so the early access will, as always, be starting on the standalone client first, and then we'll move to Steam at a later time. Don't get angry at Heatblur for this. It is highly likely that this has actually got more to do with the way that Steam handles DLC. Steam gets really antsy, as I understand it, having spoken to a few developers, about DLC for games that are actually developed by third-party developers. As soon as Heatblur has a date, I have absolutely no doubt they will be announcing it to make sure that Steam users are fully aware on when the F-14 will be available, and I'll also make sure I pop it up in one of my videos here, just for the viewers of my channel to keep up to date on exactly when the F-14 will be available for them if you are playing DCS on Steam. Anyways, ladies and gents, hope you enjoyed the video and thank you very much for watching. As more information on the F-14 becomes available, I will of course be putting it up on the channel. We've been waiting for this thing for years at this point in time, and I'm not even going to try and deny that I'm hyped as all hell for this bloody plane. Anyways, ladies and gents, as always, remember to click that like button, share and subscribe if you would like to see more, and until next time, fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.